Um, so I had to be on the road. Um, so once technology came into play and smartphones and being able to build social platforms on Facebook and Instagram, and the reality of the whole world is in my phone.
Hmm.
Um, it got my imagination really going, and I came out of retirement, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna build a business school where I can teach people everything that I have ever known, every trade secret I've learned in this industry, everything I ever learned from great mentors, and I'm gonna combine them all in one, and I'm gonna do it online, and that would do a couple of things for me. It would give me the free time that I really want, but it would also give my team the free time to build, because there's a lot of people that can't make it to events, a lot of people
Hmm.
that can't make it to meetings. There's a lot of people um, that have a lot more friends on Facebook than they do in their personal, location. And I
Sure.
saw that as a tremendous, tremendous way of leveraging uh, multiple countries at once. So the business school was very desirable for me. And the main part that really lit me on fire is that in this industry, when you're faced with people that still think that these things are pyramids or it's one of those things, and why can't that person just get a real job?
Mhm.
There's so many disabling beliefs out there. What's always worked for me is coming through the door of financial education,
Yeah.
because financial education is superior to all other educations when it comes to wealth creation. And so there's an immediate respect there. And I thought, if I can spend time with every single person on my team and teach them financial education, but also show them through how to make the two one. Because just because you know financial education doesn't mean you're going to make a million in network marketing. You got to
Sure.
understand how to make a million in network marketing too, and be able to mesh those two to where you know how to communicate the industry and the brand. And so
Yep.
far in this entire industry, nobody has what we have. Nobody has a business school, and nobody has the retention that we have too. 70 to 94%. I mean, come on, that's impossible in our industry. Okay,
What's the
so
industry average? 2 to 10?
2 to 10%. And I want to challenge any one of the people that are watching you that may be in another company or they're looking at this. And I want to just ask you this one question, and you have to ask yourself this: is that when you look at your 2 to 10 retention, which that is a very, very real average, it's shocking to most people when they really look into it. They're like, oh my God, that's actually
Hmm.
true. And once you do, I want to ask you to ask yourself this: is that what would your check look like if your retention doubled
Right.
over the course of the next 30 days? All right. What if it went from 2 to 4 or from 10 to 20%? Imagine having 7 times that, having 70 to 94%. That's 7 times what your check is right now. Imagine what your business would look like. And here's the reason why: is that people are learning and growing, and they're growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially,
Hmm.
and they're becoming more confident, and they're able to tie that into network marketing, and they're being taught the real way to build in this industry that has been evolving for many years now. The old way of doing it with just doing home meeting, home meeting, home meeting, and just ignoring online. If
Yep.
you do that, you're not going to do very well, because your team is getting pitched every single day on which company to go to,
Yeah.
and nobody can say, no one in this entire industry can say, well, we have a business school that teaches you financial literacy, real business acumen, and how to communicate it through the eye of a needle into this industry, to where you have real mentorship that produces leader backed by leader backed by leader, which means that you're able to stack networks out. The trouble with our
Yeah.
industry is that you put in one network, and then you go to work on the second one, and then by the time you get to the third, the first network is already leaving.
Yep.
And then you go to the fourth, and then the second is leaving. So it's like this meat grinder. We don't have that trouble in Overcome Nation at all. And
No,
that
it's
is what
been
makes us very valuable for people who come here.
Yeah, it's been beyond impressive too. And just seeing, you know, not only the team that I've brought in, but the people that that we train with, that we associate with, how their posture has changed. You know, we've gone from a place of, hey girl, I want to try my products, to, hey, listen, you're a small business owner. Do you understand the power of passive income? Are you open to hearing about it? And when it's brought to their attention that way, with that literacy and education, it has been a complete game changer for everyone that I know on this team. And seeing, you know, I was a teacher for 15 years. So having this stuff come out of my mouth has blown me away too. I've learned so much just in the 4 months that we've been doing this. And, you know, you bring up the point about people in other companies and thinking about where they are and what could be and what could happen. I want to ask you a question, because I know you went through a similar situation when you left your previous company. What kind of advice can you offer to people who are feeling that stuck, who are feeling like, you know, let me backtrack for just a second. I feel like a lot of people who join network marketing companies do so emotionally when they join their first company. You know, they develop all these relationships, they develop a lot of connections to people, dare I say obligations, and they end up not being able to think from a business standpoint. They think more from their heart. Can you address, you know, how to make the wisest decision if you are feeling that stuck? What they should be looking for?
You have to put your business cap on.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the luxury when it comes to business to think emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get involved in our first network marketing company from traditional business, we come out from under traditional business. The culture is so much different. We fall in love with the products. They teach us to dream. We build relationships. We fall in love with the culture. We're taught about loyalty and things like that. And so because this industry is so much different, because it's people driven and relationship driven, the person that's stepping into it for the very first time, to them it feels like a marriage, right? Or like your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend, right? Your first relationship. And so it can be confusing, and then you end up going through very difficult lessons when that company begins to make decisions that are no longer profitable for your team. And so it becomes painful, because you start seeing the people on your team starve, basically. Their checks begin to diminish, turn into nothing, and then they have to leave. And then it kind of erodes from the bottom up. And then what happens is the people that are up higher are trying to protect their income, and they react with fear, which turns them into holding tighter, right? They're looking for that tighter security. And so they start telling everybody, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. And it almost becomes like, you know, hey, my boat is sinking, jump in, you know? And then those that feel conflicted, they're like, I don't know what to do. I know that nobody's going to be able to build here. If I enroll somebody, I feel like I'm bringing lambs to the slaughter. So then they become paralyzed. And that paralyzation ends up bleeding from the bottom to the top. And it becomes very predictable. And one thing I learned from Kiyosaki was that don't be emotionally driven. Don't have an emotional attachment to a business that is no longer cash flowing. Numbers don't lie. And from quarter to quarter, if you've done everything you can do to turn it around, it still will not turn around. And you and your team are doing everything, and the decisions of the company are working against you, then you don't have the luxury to stay. And here's where I want to point that out. This is where it gets easier for people to see when I share it like this, because I had to go through it painfully. One was I waited 2 years too long. And I should have left 2 years earlier than I did, but I had that same emotional attachment. But once I began to see that many of those people in my downline were hanging on because of me. And they were like, well, if Rick still believes, I still believe, you know, because they're so loyal, and the friendships and all that stuff. And it suddenly dawned on me that I can't watch people stay because of me, and they can no longer pay their bills, and then they're still buying products so they can keep their points and all that stuff. And now I start looking at this and going, you know, I wouldn't have a check if it wasn't for my team. So
Right.
where should my loyalty be? It shouldn't be to corporate. It shouldn't be to a company. It should be to my team.
Mm-hmm.
We work together as a team. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood. It's a family.
Yep.
And we have to watch our back and take care of one another. And as a leader, it's a little bit more difficult, because if you're still making 20 grand a month or 20 grand a week or what have you, and you see that the company's making all these bad decisions, you tend to kind of go, you know, la la la, not listening, right? You're not
Yep.
listening, and it becomes very unfair for the people that really love you and trust you in your downline. So you have to remove all of that, and you have to put on your business hat, and you have to think like a professional business person, a real networking professional. And you cannot buy into I don't know any wise businessman or woman that would continue to have good money chasing bad money in a bad company. The wise
Right.
people don't do that. They're not emotionally attached to that. They stop the bleeding, they make the decision, they pick up stakes, and they go and they figure something else out, especially for your team. You owe that to them. It is your responsibility as a leader to look out for them like you would look out for your family. And it's no different. And you'll have longevity in this business if you let that thought process, that mindset direct you. Remove
Awesome.
your emotion. Otherwise, everybody becomes very it, it painfully attacks every single person, and it will come against them too. The other thing is, those people in your downline will end up being in your upline somewhere else if you
Mm-hmm.
wait too long. Okay. And we've seen
Absolutely.
that, right?
Yep.
And that can be painful too. And I've seen that happen before. I mean, when I was in my first company, I had a $20 million a year distribution business, and there was a guy that left 17 months earlier than I did. And because he left earlier than I did, all of the people that knew who I was, they weren't on my team, but all those people that knew who I was, that if I had left earlier, they would have followed me. They ended up
Yep.
following him, and he ended up being like a $300,000 a month
Wow.
earner in another company just because of the timing. And
Yep.
and his business was half the size of mine in my
Wow.
company. He didn't have the capacity that I had. He didn't have the teaching or the wisdom or any of the things that I carried as a leader. And his numbers showed that. But because the timing was worked for, I missed the opportunity because I waited too long, and he took advantage of the timing. He ended up getting the $300,000 a month continually, the $1 million check, the $2 million check, you know, the
Right.
Lamborghinis, everything. I ended up going to the same company, and guess what? I ended up in his downline. So there is a first mover's advantage for those that don't let emotions
Yeah.
cloud their vision.
No, that's a perfect transition to my next question too, with first movers advantage, timing with pre-momentum, especially with what we've got going on here, and your past experience with your other company with, you know, being in pre-momentum. What are your thoughts on where we are and, you know, the next 12 to 18 months, what we're looking at as far as growth and drive, and, you know, how close to, I mean, we haven't, everybody keeps saying it, we really haven't even gotten started yet, because we haven't. You know, I feel like we're all still kind of getting our bearings here and getting everything in alignment and learning, and we're getting all of the right people in the right places.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a deeper look at that.
Okay.
So here are the details, right? Viseo is a company that did 12 million in its first month. It did 49 million in its first 11 months. Okay. That's a tremendous story, and it was the largest launch in MLM history. And we're talking about a 140-year industry. That's a wonderful story. It sounds great when we're pitching people, right? And
Yep.
that's the truth. Now, with that being said, we are not even in momentum yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in the introductory stage. And I've been a part of 2 companies that went to $1 billion, so I know what this looks like. And I can tell you that in the second year, what happens is all the people that came in the first year that were get rich quick,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally driven, right? I don't have to do anything and I'm going to get paid. All that stuff burns out after the first year. When you go into the second year, the teachers begin to present themselves, the leaders that are not here, they're not here for the honeymoon.
Right.
They're here to help guide the ship, build the ship, pioneer the company. And that's what Overcome Nation has done clearly. That's why we have the largest team in North America,
yep.
because we build leaders. And so in the second year, you end up with the real thing. The rest is emotionalism. Sounds great, still emotionalism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you go, I'm excited about January, but I'm even more excited about the following January. Now, here's why. At the 2-year mark, January will be 2 years. What happens is the bigger leaders that have been watching from a distance,
mm-hmm.
wondering whether Viseo will be that company that shows signs of becoming $1 billion company, that's when it starts getting their attention. Because 7-figure earners, if they don't like being a pioneer, see, I love being a pioneer. I like building stuff, yep. Right? But some of them want to wait and watch, and then because it's still considered a startup.
Right.
Okay. And so there's a half of us that get involved after any type of kinks are ironed out, any kind of technology issues are ironed out. If there's any potential problems within the first 2 years, those things get all solved, completely solved. So then those bigger networkers come in and they bring their massive networks with them,
right?
Because they know that they're now operating on a very strong foundation of product, leadership, direction. Not to mention we're already in 12 different countries.
Yep.
Most of the companies that are looking at us are not even in their second country yet, right? And they're frustrated with it because if the world's in your phone,
right,
shouldn't you be able to do business in the world?
Yeah.
Well, Viseo is already giving us that opportunity. I couldn't imagine being stuck in a company that's only in 1 or 2 countries right now.
It's
I couldn't
not
imagine.
fun.
It's not fun. Okay.
No.
So we have 12 other country options. Okay. Most people don't have that. So with that being said, you're already seeing it. We're already seeing in Overcome Nation, on our team, on your team, that you're already getting big leaders that are already beginning to step in and bringing their teams over here, whether they are doing it quietly or whether they are doing it full blown, telling the world.
Yep.
That just happens. I mean, hey, that's business.
Yep.
Okay. Some are going to come in under the radar and some are going to be bold about it. I like being bold about it because I like to be as visual as possible. Every time I ever left a company, I was like, I'm here. Here's why. And that really helped me to make big splashes. So I'm always going to encourage people to do that. But I know that it happens. So my point is, from now until the end of 2019, we are going to see massive networks stacking out in Overcome Nation.
Yep.
And in Viseo too, but especially in Overcome Nation, because the